seen The Secret? You know about The Secret. If you haven't seen the movie, you know about it. And that movie came out a few years ago, and I was like share trading in left brain and analytical and mathematical, and these people going, we're going to meditate. And we're going to manifest $1 million. And I'm like, yeah, you guys do that. I'll be over here trading shares and actually making $80,000 this morning. Thanks very much. But after my clients started to blow massive amounts of money and lose their health and lose their relationships, I thought, maybe these hippie guys are actually on something. They came very much from the right brain, the airy-fairy, lovey-dovey kind of sciences, which I thought was a bunch of BS. I was coming very much from the left brain, straight up and down area, which they thought was a bunch of BS. By putting those two together, we actually ended up with some whole clients and some whole brain activity. Has everybody got their problem? Now, what we're actually doing this morning is exercising the left brain and the right brain. Okay? It's very important to have both active. In our society, for the last couple of thousand years, we've basically glorified the left brain, the mathematical, the analytical. And of course, if we were around 2,500 years ago, there would have been churches for all the gods and temples for all the goddesses. Okay? And all the goddesses, Helena and Diana and all this sort of stuff. Like, there was a bit of a balance back then. For the last couple of thousand years, we've basically worshipped on this side. It's led to more heart attacks, more strokes, more divorce, more this sort of stuff. I had a heart attack when I was 32, sitting at my desk, trading shares. Right? I decided I didn't want to have another one. It wasn't a whole lot of fun. Okay? Made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, lost all my money, lost my wife, lost my family, lost my health, and then decided maybe a hippie's wrong to something. Okay? So I'll introduce you to both sides of your brain, and then you can decide. It's kind of like being bilingual. You can speak French on one side and you can speak English on the other. And you just know, when I'm sitting here on the hilltop and there's the sunset, I can actually be in my right mind. I don't have to be calculating the angle and the trajectory and that sort of stuff. Okay? Now grab your red and your green frog. But the green frog is in your left hand, red frog is in your right hand. Keep your eyes closed, keep your hands out flat in front of you. And just for the sake of the exercise, I want you to imagine that I've actually tied a green balloon around the hand that has your green frog. We're going to gas balloon, we're going to pump some gas into that. Just feel it pull lightly against your wrist. You've had a balloon tied around your wrist before when you were a kid, you know what this feels like. Close your eyes, Gary. Come on. It only works if you're playing by the rules. This is just a bit of fun. So as you're feeling that slight pull around your wrist, I'm going to tie a second green balloon around that wrist. Okay, just feel it gently pull. You know, you're not taking off at the start, but just feel it there. In the other hand, where your red frog is, you're going to feel a red house brick. And just feel the weight of that red house brick. Just feel the weight as that pulls slightly on you. You can keep control of it. Keep your eyes closed. And on the one hand, you can feel the pull of gravity of the red house brick. On the other hand, you can feel the pull of the green balloon. I'll tie a third balloon around that wrist. And just for the he-man in the room, for the macho he-man, I'm going to walk around and give you a second red house brick to balance there. Okay, just feel the pull of that red house brick and the pull of the green balloons. Now open your eyes. Have a look at your hands. Alan. So what we're looking at there is one side of the brain, the left side of the brain, and the right side of the brain. Most people actually think they do have left and right side of their brain, and that is absolutely BS. BS, of course, Jeff, thank you, stands for belief system. The belief system that we actually have a brain that comes in two segments. If any of you have ever seen a brain taken out of a skull, it will just fall apart like that. Right? There's a tiny, tiny little connection between. Dinosaurs had one brain in the front, one brain in the back. Right? It was pretty easy to spot they had two brains. People actually think that they have one brain when you in fact have two. The left side of the brain, mathematical, analytical, makes all the numbers line up to the last 4 decimal points. The accountants in the room overworked that one. After I had my heart attack, I actually had a brain scan, full body electro scan, and the left side of my brain, the heat signal was just off the charts. It was like I had a toaster in there. I right side of the brain was basically no activity at all. And that obviously contributes to bad health. Right side of the brain is the fun side. The imagination, the timelessness, when you can just sit there and look at the mountain range and you look at the sunset and you're not going, okay, 15 minutes, maybe it's going to be gone. Now, again, I started meditating. I started getting into areas of NLP, Neuro-linguistic programming, and what we were doing just there, I was speaking words, lingo, linguistics, and your brain, the neurons, were actually processing the information. Okay? Basically, it's science, but it's the power of suggestion. Okay? I can put ideas into your head that will actually make you do different things. And when we're in business, we basically want the other person to do something. We want them to buy our product, we want them to buy our service, we want them to come back. All marketing is seduction. You want your idea in the other person's head, you want them to do something. So it would actually make a lot of sense if you understood what was going on inside the person's head. And if you can understand they've actually got two brains, and you can understand that they can't be in two minds at exactly the same time, then you can really target what to do with these people. So I spent a lot of time researching into this area, and who's seen the Matrix? Anyone seen the Matrix? Okay. And you've used the internet and that sort of stuff. Everything in the Matrix was a 1 or a 0. Okay. Everything in computers, everything in cyberspace, everything is digital now. It's a 1 or a 0. There is nothing else. Okay. And when I was looking at the left and right brains, when I was looking at men and women and relationships, like how do I create a better relationship? Whether it's for, who's single in the room? Single? No, not one. If you're looking to create a relationship, a new relationship, or you're looking to create a better relationship, whether the idea is I want to take you back to my place, or whether the idea is I want you to give me large quantities of money, the principle is essentially the same. This is where I actually offended someone in the Britton audience because I said that business was seduction. That was the point where she got upset, decided to leave the building. Hey, look, there's some more. I'm glad you're missing out on the next part. We're going to talk about genitalia. It's a good time to leave. It was so amazing that she got offended by the word seduction. She was not offended when I used the word penises. So, there you go. Anyway, so we'll move on to that. Looking at the difference between the left and right brain, looking at the difference between the men and women. How do we know when a baby is born that it's going to be a man? Anyone? Volunteers? You don't have to be a doctor or a medical specialist in the room. Come on, let's have some fun. Or is this supposed to be business? Right, okay, exactly. That little gesture that you did there is pretty well how we know that baby is male. Right? And it doesn't matter whether you give them dolls to play with and dress them in tutus and you give guns and cowboy hats to the girls. They are psychologically different even from very, very young age. Okay? The boys have one of those little things. Right? And the girls have something that's a bit more like that. Who's got the thickest skin in the room? Al, come in. You're used to being embarrassed. And Simone, you can come out. Fantastic. Okay. Thanks. So, when Alan was born, he kind of looked a little bit like that. When Simone was born, she had something that was a little bit different. Okay? And then over the years, these guys hit puberty. They grew up, they became more attractive and ready to breed and communicate with the opposite sex. And of course, picking a partner is business. You're selling yourself to them, like I'm going to be a good procreator and I'm going to have strong genes and I'm going to be a good provider and that sort of stuff. Now, what happened to this young fine specimen of man over here? Now he's got clothes on, you can't actually see what identifies him as a man. But if you have a look at him, please, for his like yours. The ideal masculine shape is straight up and down. There's no curves on the body. Okay? His muscles are linear. His face, if you have a look at his jaw, is very linear. Okay? His haircut, straight back and sides. That's how he identifies himself as a man. Now, if Al was 400 kilos overweight, and wearing a giant afro, then he wouldn't have those masculine qualities. He'd be what we call a more feminine. He's still a man, but he just operates in a feminine capacity. Okay? And of course, Simone over here, when she grew up, she got some more curvy bits. Right? She got some more rounded. She's got some curvy hips, she's got some curvy boobs, she's got curves in her face. And when she smiles, you can see the curved jaw, the curved cheeks. The hair is curved. Okay? That's how she communicates, I'm a woman. Even from 500 metres away, the way she walks will communicate that she's a woman. Fantastic. Thank you. And if we actually watch these guys again in a business setting, right? Let's say, Al, here's 20 bucks, go and buy me a hammer. Al would walk straight from here to Bunnings, buy a hammer, walk straight back, and give it to me. Alright? It's alright. Simone, being a feminine woman, she can hit hard. Simone will take the money, walk over here, go past Bunnings, here, come back without the hammer. Right? Now, she will know if I say to her, where do I buy kebabs? Where do I get the best looking pair of shoes? Yes. What's Sally wearing this week? You know, what's on the billboard down the road? She will know everything around the entire environment. Now, am I just picking on Simone because I've been following her around for the last week, stalking her and watching her shopping habits?
Possibly.
Possibly. Possibly. But let's go way, way back. Okay, let's go way back and say, if Al was a caveman, or if he grew up in sub-Saharan Africa, and instead of going down to Bunnings and picking up what he needs, he's going to go out, he's going to supply the food for everybody for this morning. Thank you, Al. Hunter-gatherer. Quite generous. Okay, so the hunter-gatherer has a weapon which looks a lot like that. He grabs his spear or his club and he walks straight after the zebra, after the wildebeest, whatever it is, kills it, comes straight back home. Right, no detours. What happens with Simone? Simone picks up a basket, which kind of looks a bit like that. Okay? And then while she's going around gathering nuts and berries, she actually goes all the way around here, wandering all around the camp. Meanwhile, she's got 13 children that she's looking after, hers and others, because all the men are out hunting. And she's able to keep an eye on the kids, on the berries, on the nuts, looking out for danger. And if you've studied any body language, you'll know that women's peripheral vision, she can actually tell what shoes you're wearing while she's looking in your eyes. Women have a peripheral vision, which is all the way around, and she'll judge you by the fact that you've got the $29 shoes rather than the $1,000 Italian loafers. Right? Men, with their peripheral vision, it's like a laser beam. Okay, ladies, can you tell if a man is looking at your cleavage? Absolutely, because he can't look down 6 inches without moving his head. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Right? It's just a man is structured like that. Okay? The connection between the left and right brains in a man is about as thin as a needle. It's a straight line. With women, they've got massive, massive ganglionic connections, thicker than your little finger, which explains why Simone can actually have a conversation with you, and you, and you, and you at the same time, still be checking out your shoes, and also thinking about what she's going to cook for dinner tonight. Meanwhile, while she's driving, she's on the phone, she's smacking the kids, and she's actually aware of what's going on. Whereas if you ask a man to do 2 things at once, what happens? He can't process it. Okay? Just by understanding the differences between these guys, and you can look at them from a mile away and know, okay, one's like this, I've got to treat them differently. Not just because Simone is more likely to be coming in looking for a pair of shoes than looking for a hammer. Okay? That's a sexist judgment, but hey, we're in business. Okay? I'm not going to make $1 million by selling pink parasols to men. There is a little niche market there somewhere. Mostly in the valley. But you're not going to get rich by doing that. Okay? I'd be better off targeting the women with the round curvy things. Okay? So, once you've mastered both, it's kind of like carrying your slide rule and also your paintbrush. And you think, I've got to sit down and do my bads today, then you bring out the slide rule, you bring out the calculator, and you use that left side of the brain. Bang, bang, bang. Okay? Then when you're going to see the sunset, or you're going to paint a picture, or you're going to play with the kids, put that away. And you pick up a paintbrush, and you spend some time being aimless, directionless, in chaos, rather than in complete control. Okay? That's where I spent too much of my time, and it nearly cost me my life. I'm sure you know some other people who have done similar things. Having a balance is the idea of the game. Also, using your business and using your skill, because every day you're in sales, communicating with your partner to get them to do the dishes or to get them to do whatever you want them to do. Talk to them in their language. Understand what frame of mind they're in, because some women come home and they're like, right, what do we need to do? And you know, oh, she's operating in her left brain masculine right now. If I want to relate to her and have a good time, I'm going to need to find out how to switch her into that. And guys, the easiest way is to say, you look so beautiful when you're angry. Instantly switches her from bang, 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 I want to be in control, to, oh, do I? I didn't think so. Right? Men have been doing this for centuries, but unconsciously. They haven't known that they're doing it. Once you can actually discover it, once you can actually be illuminated, you can no longer be manipulated. You can control other people, other people can't control you. You can start seeing what they're actually doing.
You should tell us to read the questions.